All right. Okay. So, hello, everybody, and I wanted to talk to you guys about smoothing, or what we call subds, or subdivision surfaces this week, just to get you guys sort of thinking about how it works and how 3D geometry behaves, and again, like how it works. You know, what makes it tick. Um, okay, so what I've done is I've set up this nice little sort of scene where we're gonna just go through a few different things and just kind of get your head wrapped around a few of these concepts. Hopefully, all of you have gotten Maya installed at home. And if you have, that's wonderful, because then you can start sort of playing around with your own scenes after you've watched this video, and yeah, get your head wrapped around some of these concepts. Okay, so I got Maya open here, and I'll apologize. By the way, I'm using Maya 2016. You guys are on 2015, but don't worry. All the concepts are pretty much the same. There's just the buttons are a couple of things are just in some different areas, so nothing to worry about. But the concepts, these core concepts that we're talking about, are completely the same. So let's just take a look here. I have a cube. Okay, so smoothing. All right. So when we talk about smoothing and subdivision surfaces, um, what I mean by that is it's Maya's way of taking geometry and making it nice and smooth. So it is what it sounds like. Um, and the way we use subdivisions in Maya, or turn it off and on, is the 1 and 3 keys. Okay, so smoothing, to smooth an object, hit the 3 key. To turn smoothing off, hit the 1 key. Okay, so I have a cube here. Okay, and I'm just going to hit F. And if I hit with this cube selected, okay, if I hit the 3 key, it smooths the cube. So what's happening here? Okay, what is Maya doing to make the cube look like a sphere? Well, what it's actually doing is, in fact, what I'll do, come over here. Okay, and I have these 4 cubes. Okay, and on these 4 cubes, I am, well, in my window here, I have wireframe unshaded turned on, so we can see what's actually going on. So I'm going to keep that on for you. Okay. So what it's actually doing, I have these 4 cubes, and each one of them is smoothed. Okay. This cube has not been smoothed anymore because I turned it off. Okay, but I can toggle between the two by hitting 3 key to smooth it, 1 key to turn it off. Okay, but if I come in here and I look at these 4 cubes, what Maya is actually doing is it's taking any one of these points. Okay, so it takes, let's say if we're talking about this vertex here. So I have this vertex. Okay. And when I hit the 3 key, what Maya is doing is it's looking at all of the surrounding vertices. Okay, so this guy here, this guy here, this guy here, and it's averaging out the distance between all of those. Okay, and so what essentially is happening when I hit smooth is it's saying, okay, well, I'm going to take the average distance between from here to here, and from here to here, and from here to here, and I'm going to make up the difference when you hit the smooth key. So it's going to go a little this way, it's going to go a little toward this one, and it's going to go a little toward this one. Okay, and it's doing that for all of them. So you can kind of see, you know, how that works. So when I hit smooth, this vertex is going, it's going this way, and this way. And because it's doing it to all of them at the same time on this sphere, or sorry, on this cube, pardon me, it's making it spherical because it's just averaging out, because it's using those, you know, it's an even number of edges all around. So if I move over here, okay, now let's take a look at this one. Okay, I'll turn this, I'll smooth this again. Okay. Now, if I move over here and I look at this guy, you can see that I've added some edge loops. Okay, so I have an edge loop here, I have an edge loop here, and I have an edge loop there. So again, when I hit the 3 key, it's now taking the average distance. So any one of these points is taking the average distance to its closest vert and making up the difference. So because I have an edge loop in the center here and an edge loop running around the center here, so I've essentially taken the box and split it into 4s. Okay. What it's doing is it's now saying, oh, okay, well, I only have X amount to travel this way, X amount to travel this way, and X amount to travel this way between this one, this one, this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. So because I've added those edge loops in there, it doesn't make it as round. It starts to what's called crease these outer edges here. Okay, and that's something we call edge creasing. We'll get a little more into that a little bit later. Okay, so let's move on. Move down here. Okay, so you can hopefully you're sort of grasping what's going on here. We'll move down here with regard to how smoothing works. So you can see here's a new cube, and what I've done here is I haven't placed an edge in the center, but I've actually placed edges on the closer to the outside quarters of the cube. So now what it's doing is it has this vertice here, this corner vert, has even less to travel. So we're going from here to here. It's saying, okay, I'm going to grab this distance here, and this distance here. Well, how long do I have to travel to really to calculate the difference? Well, not very far. So I'm going to make the outer edge here, this outer corner, that much more crisp. Okay, so it's really starting to crisp these edges up. Okay, and if we compare this cube to this guy over here, you can see that it's really starting. This guy over here has really got some creased edges. Okay, so we've got some pretty creased edges. So if I turn smoothing off on this guy, and I come over here and turn smoothing off on this guy, okay, you can see the difference in the distance between this edge loop to the corner and this edge loop and its corner. Okay, so this edge loop to the end, this edge loop to the end, we're really almost taking this distance here and going all the way over and dividing it up, almost dividing it up into like you know, 4/5. Like if we were to divide this up into like 5, it's almost 4/5. Okay, so it's like if I took this edge loop and I moved it there, watch what happens. Okay, so you can see this has become very crisp, this outer face, because I moved that edge loop in there. So it's saying, okay, I'm really going to crisp up that edge and really crease that edge. So if I go to smoothing, a good way to look at this, so if I go back to smoothing mode with this edge loop still selected, I can grab that edge on the x-axis, and I'm just going to pull it back, and you can sort of see the effect that it has on that outer edge of the cube. Okay, so it's sort of crisping up. The closer I move it to the edge, it's really crisping it up. Okay. So that's just a look at how subdivisions works in terms of how any 3D package, and this is a universal concept across all 3D packages in terms of how a mesh is solved using subdivision surfaces. So this runs across many different packages, 3D Studio Max, whether you're using Lightwave, Maya, Houdini. All of these packages use these sort of same smoothing algorithms. There's a couple of different ones. Catmull-Clark smoothing algorithms. We're getting into some mathematical stuff here, but it's basically some guys back in the 90s when 3D was first coming around. They said, okay, we need a way to smooth an object without adding like billions of divisions to it. What's a way that we can get this to sort of smooth without adding too many divisions on it? Now it still has to calculate that. So at render time, it will slow down your renders when you are using subds. Anyway, that's a look at how smoothing works. Okay, so to recap, it takes a look at each of the vertices on an object and it says, okay, what is the distance between its corresponding or neighboring vertices, and it makes up the difference and smooths it out based on that distance. Okay, so that's how it works. So let's move down. Now that you guys have a grasp on how it works, hopefully that's clear to you. If it's not, pop me an email, and I'll do my best to explain. Let's talk a little bit about edge flow now. Okay, so edge flow. What do I mean by edge flow? We can see here I've got two polyplanes set up here. Okay, one and the other. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off wireframe unshaded so that we can just look at these without the wireframe on it. So if I look at this first one, I've got this pipe shape running through the object here. Okay. So just basically modeled up this pipe shape. But if I come down here to the area where this sort of, we've got this sort of crease, this U-shape, this sort of crease here, okay? And we come up and we kind of rotate around and tumble around this. We can see that we've really got some nasty stuff going on here, and you can see this jagged sort of pattern on here on the mesh. Okay, and what we call that is an artifact. Okay, one of the terms in the industry that we use, it's pretty widely used, is we call it an artifact. So an artifact, what does that mean? An artifact is like an anomaly or something that looks ugly. So an artifact, like an error. Okay, so an artifact. This is a nasty artifact. It's a nasty sort of error in the way the mesh is solving. Okay, and there's another term for you. Solving means, it's just another word for looking or appearing. Okay, so how does the mesh appear, look? How does it smooth? What's its appearance? Okay, so if I say your mesh is not solving very well, what I'm referring to is the way the mesh is looking when at render time when it smooths, not at render time, but in the viewport when it smooths. It'll look crappy at render time, don't worry. At render time, meaning when I hit render. If you go to render a frame, it looks nasty. So we have these artifacts here. So artifacts, errors, you know, in short, crappiness. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, ooh, like it's kind of nasty, right? Well, why is this happening? Okay. Well, the reason it's happening, if we come up to shaded mode in the viewport shading. I'm going to come down, click on wireframe on shaded. So the reason this is happening is we can see, if we take a look at the way our edges are flowing, they're flowing in a pattern that's basically just this crisscross pattern. Okay, so when we're going across this way and evenly across this way. But if you notice, the shape that I've modeled is running this way, but my edge flow is running this way. Okay, so what's happening here is Maya is saying, okay, I'm not really sure how to handle this, so yeah, I'm not going to make this look good. Sorry. Yeah. So that's pretty much Maya's telling you it doesn't understand what to do with the surface that you're trying to create. Okay. So how do we fix this? Okay, how do we make, if we want this shape, right? If we want this shape running this way, how do we fix that? How do we get rid of all of this sort of nastiness that's going on here, this nasty stuff? Okay. Well, over here, let me come over here. Got the second plane here. You can see got this really nice, beautiful, crisp sort of crease here. Okay. No artifacts. It's nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. If I sort of tumble around, it's a really beautiful surface, you know. It's a thing of beauty. It's beautiful. Okay, so why is this happening? Why does this look so much better than this? Well, it's that good old thing, edge flow. So if I click on this guy, we can see that my edges are no longer fighting the shape that I'm trying to hold. Okay, the shape that I'm trying to retain. These edges are not fighting that shape anymore. Okay, if I hit the 1 key, we can sort of see. If we take it off smoothing, we can see, you know, that I've got these edges flowing up, flowing this way. But most importantly, you know, my horizontal edges are flowing with that shape. Okay, so I'm no longer fighting the shape that I'm trying to model. My edges are flowing with it. Okay, there's this sort of like unity that's going on between the edge flow and the shape that I've modeled. Okay, so it's really important that when you guys are modeling, you try to have your edges not fight the shape that you're modeling, but flow with it. Okay, just some food for thought. So let's move down. Hopefully edge flow is clear to you. Again, any of this stuff, just pop me an email if there's something you're not following with. So let's talk about some problem areas. The main one I want to talk to you about, there's a couple I want to talk to you about. There's two main ones I'm going to talk to you about right now. The first one is hidden edges. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So let's click these guys. Okay. Now we talked before about how Maya or any 3D package calculates smoothing. Okay. So click on vertex here, we can see we've got a vertex here, and we've got a vertex here, and a vertex here. So we've only got 3 vertexes. Okay, so any of these corresponding vertexes, because we've got because we don't have too many vertices here, or I should say, because the distance between this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy is quite large, we would think that you know, intuition as 3D artists would tell us that this is going to create a nice long sort of curve. Okay, but let's go ahead and hit the 3 key and smooth it. Okay, so what's going on here? Okay, we've got this side, we've got this nice smooth sort of shape like this, but this side, we come around, we've got this crease. So why is that crease happening? Okay, why is that crease happening when we've only got 3 points here? Okay, and we've only got 3 points on this side. This side, you can see, is nice and smooth, but this side, it's not. So if we toggle back and forth, you see that there's something wrong here. Okay, so when you have a problem like this, there's a few things that could be wrong. So there's a few things you want to do to try and troubleshoot what's going on here. What you can do is come here, I could say object mode, and I'm going to hit Control A. Okay. All right. And I'm going to click over here. I'm going to go under Display. Where are we actually? Torus Shape. Mesh Component Display. Okay, so under Mesh Component Display, I'm going to say, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say Display Center. Okay, so this is 2016, so sometimes it takes me a little bit to find things. With Display Center on, what it's showing you is it's displaying the centers of every face. Okay, so you guys know what a face is now. I can select this, and it's displaying what these little blue dots are displaying is the center of all of my faces. So not edges, not verts, faces. Okay, so it's displaying the center of all the faces. So if I've clicked that on, and we come over here, we say, well, okay, I've got a center here. You know, I've got a center here, got a center here, come down here and, oh, what the, why do I have a center here? Okay, so automatically something's up, because if you have a center in here, that means that somehow you've got a polygon that is pretty much overlapping, or you have two edges that are right on top of each other. So maybe you did an extrude, or you beveled the edge without giving it any thickness, and so what you've got is this situation where you've got some overlapping edges, but there's another polygon in there somewhere. So now that we've determined that there's another polygon in there, we're going to go to vertex mode. Okay, and we're going to say, okay, well, we need to fix this. So how can we fix this? This guy's smoothed like that. Okay, we can come over here. Come over here, and this guy's the same. So under vertex, if I hit the 4 key, okay, and with this vertex selected, I'll hit the F key just to focus in on that, and immediately what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click anywhere just to deselect that vert, but I'll just click that one vert there, okay, and I'll go to the move tool, and on the y-axis I'll just sort of nudge it up, and ooh, looky, I got hooky. Problem, right? So we know that somehow there was some overlapping crap there. Okay, so there is a way we can fix this. What we can do is we can window over So we can marquee drag over this vert here, okay, and I can hold the space bar down, okay, and I think it's under Mesh Tools in 2016, Edit Mesh. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this panel off here. Okay, so in 2016 it's Edit Mesh. So what you want to do is you want to come to what's called merge. Okay, so under components, merge. In 2015 it's Edit Mesh as well, I'm fairly certain. And if it's not, you can look under the help menu and go to what is it? Resources and tools. I think it's My Learning Channel. I think if you click My Learning Channel, it'll bring up. If you guys can't find something, it'll bring up this handy dandy thing where you can search stuff. But anyway, it's either in Edit Mesh, because in 2016, just a little sidebar, in 2016 you don't have mesh tools. Sorry, in 2015 you don't have mesh tools. This is a new thing. They sort of split them up. You just have Edit Mesh and Mesh. In fact, I can check that in a second. Yeah, I'll just open up 2015. Autodesk Maya 2015. I'll just have that running in the background for now. Yeah, because I have both versions, so you'll have to excuse me. Anyway, okay. So under components, you want to go to merge. I'm gonna just click the options box there, and you can set this to. I usually set this to a pretty low value, so a value of 0.001 will work pretty well, because usually you're dealing with verts that are right on top of each other, so there shouldn't be any distance difference. So I pretty much set it to a really low value. And if I click apply with these, okay, so if I drag over top of these verts here, because I know that there's two there, and I click apply, okay, and then I'm going to hit the 5 key to go back to shaded mode, okay, and I'm going to hit the 3 key. So you can see that it's joined those two verts. Okay, so I can grab these guys too. All right, because remember, when it smooths, okay, when it smooths, it's pulling these two guys apart, because it's again averaging out the distance between these two places. So if I just hit the smooth, the 3 key there, and I can go in and much easier, with a much easier time, I can grab these guys and I can just say apply. Okay. There. So one key I don't know if I taught you guys last week was the G key. G key is repeat last command. So if I've gone boop, boop, apply, and I've merged those verts, if I want to repeat the merge command, I can just say this guy, hold shift, this guy. So I've selected these two, and I'm going to say G key. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to select this guy, hold shift to add to selection, select this guy, G key. Okay. So I mean, getting back to, we went a little sidebar there to teach you guys a couple of things, but getting back to problem solving in problem areas, this is essentially what you're going to do. You're going to go around and you're just going to merge these verts together. Okay, and we can see that it'll fix that problem if we go around and we just merge those guys. Okay, so that's how you solve that problem area of having an overlapping edge like that. Okay, so let's move down. Actually, let's just check on that Maya 2015. We've got 2015 open here. I'm just coming over here. I just want to check for you. Oh, looky, you do have mesh tools. Okay, I was wrong. Your fearless leader was wrong. Oh my god. Man, software's changing all the fucking time. It's really annoying. Anyway. Okay, so we got these three things. Yeah, okay, so edit mesh. It is still in edit mesh. So I think I just want to check this. So cube. It's funny because at work I'm still on 2014, so there's like a couple new things. So if I take this guy and I say I can say merge components, you know, so that works fine. So merge components will work, pretty sure. Yeah. So you can say in you guys are all using 2015. I'm pretty sure. So you can just say merged components, and in mesh tools you can say merge vertex tool. I'm pretty sure as well. So if we snap this point here, okay, and let's just drag over that, and I come and say merge vertex tool. Oh no, this is actually different. This actually snaps it. Okay, I don't really use this. Anyway, I think it's, I mean, you can pick your poison, but usually I just use merge components. So I'll grab this vert, I'll hold V, snap it there, drag over so I know, so that I know I've got both selected, and I'll just say merge components. Okay, and then it's grabbed. It's merged both of them together. So those verts are now one vert. Okay, so just sorry. Again, software is always changing. At work, I'm on 2014. I think a lot of studios are still on 2014, but in 2015 and 2016, yeah, there's both of these tools: merge vertex tool and merge components. So, but this one works fine. Merge components works fine, and again, it's under the edit mesh menu. So if we go to the hotbox, if I were to close this, we open up the hotbox or the heads-up display, and I come to edit mesh, I can tear that off and merge components. Okay. Anyway, let's go back. God, Brad, you digress so much. I know. I'm bad. So let's talk about normal direction. Okay. So normal direction? Huh? What's this normal thing you're talking about? Well, let's take a look-see. So if I click this sphere, and we see this little, you know, we see these little like stubbly things. It looks like a really ugly man's face who hasn't shaven in a week. It's a pretty sad beard if you ask me. Good God. Oh man, I feel sorry for this guy if he's trying to grow a beard. Yeah, these little green hairs are what we call normal display indicators. So a normal is the direction that a face is pointing. So faces can either be pointing in or pointing out. So we can see that, you know, the sphere here, these faces, these little green lines are indicating, right? These little green lines are indicating that these faces are pointing outward. Okay, so think of these guys as little arrows, right? So they're pointing outward. And that's why this side of the sphere looks fine, and this side of the sphere, you know, looks blickety black. Okay, so if I zoom in we go inside here, we take a look, we see, oh, so these faces, you know, it's kind of tricky to see, but if I click this guy and focus on it, so we can see that these faces are all facing inward. Okay, so somehow the faces got flipped. Okay, so how do we fix that? Okay, if you see your mesh looking like this, that means that you've got some normals flipped. Okay, so your face normals, meaning the direction of the face has been flipped. It's been reversed. So we need to fix that because obviously this looks like crap. So let's come over here. And what I can do is I can grab this guy. I'll go to face mode. Okay, and maybe I'll switch out of my perspective view and I'll go into my top view here. Remember tapping the space bar there. We learned that this week in our first class. What I can do is when I'm in face mode, remember I want to hold the right click. I want to hold right click and I want to come down to face, let go, so I know I've got face mode selected, and I can click and drag over all these guys. Okay, so I know I've got all these guys selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse the normal. So in 2016, let's see what it is. I'm pretty sure it's under mesh display. It used to be under normals, but now I think it's mesh display. And under normals, I can say reverse. Okay. So again, if you guys are working on 2016, it's the same concept. You just need to remember that you need to reverse your normals. So universal concepts. So in 2015, let's just pop over to 2015 Maya, and I'm going to hit the 5 key. I'm just going to go in shaded mode. For you guys, it will be under normals. Okay, so in 2016, it's mesh display and then normals. For 2015, you guys, if you hold down the space bar, come down to normals. Okay, I'm going to click here and then I'll just tear this guy off. Okay. If I were to click reverse, see right here, I've got this face selected. If I were to click reverse, ooh, nasty. That's nasty. Okay. Look how nasty that face is. So, we don't want that, right? So we can click that face. You guys, you're in 2015. You ever got a face that looks like this? Go into face mode, grab it, open up the heads-up display by holding down the space bar, come to normals, tear off that panel, and just say reverse. Okay? All right. So let's go back to 2016. And I think that pretty much covers it for this lesson. Spacebar, work. Okay. So I think it pretty much covers it for this lesson. So in this lesson, we discussed, let's just do a little recap. We discussed smoothing and how to smooth an object. You hit 3, you hit 1. We discussed how smoothing works by averaging out the distances between each of its corresponding vertices. One vertice will average out the distance between its neighboring verts and therefore smooth it. So when we add more edges, we add more creases, it makes our creasing sharper and sharper. We discussed edge flow. Remember, when you're modeling, always have your edges flow with the surface. Don't want to fight it. If you fight it, you're going to get this crappy artifacting here, and it's going to make your stuff look really nasty. Nasty, nasty. And then here, we got this nice smooth thing. And then fixing problem areas, hidden edges. Okay? Hidden edges. And last but not least, normal direction. Okay, so just remember normals are the direction of the faces on your mesh. They all want to be facing the same direction, and if they're not, you're going to have some hokey pokey shit going on, and your geometry is not going to look very good. So all good stuff. We're learning. We're moving forward. We're learning about 3D and how it all works. And next week we're going to be starting to model some stuff, and I'm going to be sending you your reference images for modeling our still life project. We're going to be modeling a few objects. Those are all on the assignment sheets, handouts, handout breakdown thing, and I'm so professional. And I'll be sending you all those on Monday evening. Don't start. I know that people are going to be ambitious. If you want to start modeling, you can, but there's still some things we need to go over before we start our project. So bear with me. Hold off. If you want to, take your model further after class, that's fine, but let's try and make sure we get off to the right foot. So try and refrain from starting your class project before class. Maybe model something else, but we need to make sure that everybody's on the same page in terms of setting up projects correctly. There's a lot of things you got to know. So. But anyway, this was great. I'm glad that we talked. We had this little lesson, and hopefully you learned something from this, because these concepts are really important to remember as you're modeling. And we're going to talk about some other stuff again soon. I'm going to send you another video on some other issues that I want you guys to sort of be thinking about as you're modeling your objects. You won't be running into a lot of these problems, but again, this course is a course where I'm going to be feeding you guys in between classes. I'm going to be feeding you guys more lessons and having you watch these things, and hopefully you've installed Maya and you haven't had any problems with that. So you can watch these videos, you can have classes with me, and we're going to be doing some pretty easy peasy stuff for the actual project, because the class is it's designed to give you guys just a really relaxed environment so that you can just learn at a nice cool pace, and then I will be feeding you more stuff in the interim and in between classes, like this lesson we just watched here about geometry and how it works. Okay? Good talk. Can't wait to see you guys next week, and I'll send you another video soon. All right? Bye-bye for now.